Welcome to this edition of SKNIS Week in Review. The Week in Review highlights the top stories of the work of the government for the past week. In the government's news for the week of April 15th to 20th. Tunnel lighting complete. Employers encouraged to comply with the laws of the land. Yam to be showcased for Restaurant Week 2017. Local cuisine is a magnet for tourists. Intensive training continues to spur actions in climate change. And SKN AAA thanks government for unwavering support. I am your presenter, Sherima Matthew. Motorists traveling through the tunnel at Timothy Hill on the Kennedy A. Simmons Highway have been provided with additional safety with the completion of a lighting project. Minister of Public Infrastructure, the Honorable Ian Patches-Liebert, expressed pleasure that the contractors were finally able to install the lights and that they are now fully functional. He said that the Ministry of Public Infrastructure and by extension the government have satisfied all of the traffic safety obligations as it relates to the Southeast Peninsula Road, adding that the necessary road surface markings and reflectors are also prominently featured. The tunnel was officially opened in May 2016. The minister also gave an update on the road improvement project, which involves the resurfacing of the island's main road, as well as the paving and repairing of secondary roads in various communities. He said that there are approximately 107 miles of road in St. Kitts, and an assessment is about to get underway to determine an appropriate course of action. Director of Public Works Department, Cromwell Williams, said that a contract was recently signed with ADB Consultants Limited to conduct the road conditions survey. Work will begin before the end of April 2017 and is expected to last approximately 6 months. It will include an assessment of the island's main road in the first instance and more. The Department of Environment recognizes climate variability and climate change to be two of the most significant threats to sustainable development in St. Kitts and Nevis. Against this backdrop, a number of persons from various fields throughout the Federation are currently attending an 8th-day national training workshop in the use of climate models for decision making. The workshop, which runs from April 19th to 28th, is held under the auspices of the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center 5Cs and the United States Agency for International Development, USAID. June Hughes, Senior Environment Officer at the Department of Environment, said that the training is timely as climate change continues to be a clear and present danger. She noted that the department is working closely with regional and international partners to ensure that persons are aware of the dangers that exist.
We in the Department of Environment have been working to raise awareness on the impacts of climate change throughout our population, while taking advantage of every capacity building opportunity to improve our adaptive response and strengthen our mitigative measures. Each training, workshop, meeting strengthens our country to address and reduce the impacts of climate change.
The training will target key personnel whose focus are in areas of agriculture, water resources, coastal zone management, health, physical planning, or disaster risk reduction. The workshop would first be rolled out nationally in all 10 countries under the USAID banner, after which regional workshops will be held. Still on the climate front, the government of St. Kitts and Nevis has positioned itself to address some environmental challenges, in particular global warming, in an effort to improve informed decisions on issues like climate change, said Alistair Edwards, Permanent Secretary in the Department of Environment. The Permanent Secretary said that climate change affects everyone, therefore, the Department of Environment will continue to undertake various adaptation and mitigation actions to ensure that St. Kitts and Nevis builds its resilience to reduce the impacts of climate change. Mr. Edwards said that St. Kitts and Nevis is very vulnerable to adverse impacts of climate change, as it can be seen in a number of sectors across the Federation.
Sectors such as tourism, agriculture, water, health, and by extension the entire nation have really been impacted in one way or another by these adverse factors. In response to the current projected impacts, it is important that St. Kitts and Nevis undertake various initiatives that will reduce risk and the risk of our natural assets from climate change. St. Kitts and Nevis recognizes that climate change impacts the sustainability of not only St. Kitts and Nevis but also our region.
P.S. Edwards made specific mention of the National Training Workshop currently underway in St. Kitts and Nevis, noting that the Department of Environment sees it as an ideal opportunity to build work that has already started. Officials at the Department of Labor have issued a reminder to all employers and employees stating that any work that was undertaken on public half-holidays and national holidays are to be paid at double the normal rate as stipulated by law. Acting Commissioner of Labor, Shernell James, stated that the Department of Labor has received complaints from some employees that their employers/management are refusing to comply with the laws of the land. She said that any employee who is paid by the hour or by the day must be paid 2 times the regular amount for any work performed on the observed public holidays that were on March 23rd and April 10th during the 12 p.m. to 11 p.m. period. Additionally, any hours worked during Good Friday, April 14th, and Easter Monday, April 17th, will attract double pay as they are public holidays. Additional information is available by visiting the Department of Labor on Church Street or by telephone 762-1029 or 662-2075. The Department of Agriculture joins the Ministry of Tourism in launching the 3rd annual Restaurant Week, which will kick off from July 19th to 30th, with this year's superfood being yam. In efforts to foster engagement leading up to this year's Restaurant Week, the department will be hosting a yam cooking competition. Participants are invited to sign up at the Department of Agriculture or the Ministry of Tourism for the Federation's Yam Challenge. Those interested will submit either an entree or appetizer, dessert or drink made from yam. Alistair Edwards, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, expressed the importance of local food and noted that the future of agriculture export in St. Kitts and Nevis lies in the agro-processed items. He added that the Ministry and by extension the Department of Agriculture are very proud to be involved in the 3rd annual Restaurant Week. This year's Restaurant Week will be no different from the years before, where local ingredients will be used for consumers to get an authentic taste of the island's cuisine. In related news, Carleen Henry Morton, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, said that it is important to showcase the Federation's talent, in particular its local cuisine, as it is deemed a magnet to the many tourists who visit the islands, noting that a lot of tourists tend to capitalize on Restaurant Week. Mrs. Henry Morton said that the agriculture sector is important to the economy of St. Kitts and Nevis, especially as it relates to tourism.
In tourism, we are seeing now more than ever increasing trends of visitors who desire experiential travel. These visitors want to forge a connection with the places they visit through the music, hence the music festival that we have in June. They want to participate in the type of entertainment that locals would normally want to participate in. They want contact with local people. They want to consume the food that we eat and that is produced locally. Food or culinary tourism, the local dining scene, the experience is big business worldwide and is recognized as a vital component of the tourism experience. At the Ministry of Tourism, we are certainly taking notice, and we are preparing to capitalize on this trend through initiatives such as Restaurant Week. But make no mistake, Restaurant Week is for the benefit of our residents and our local economy.
The Permanent Secretary said that research shows that apart from food, an authentic taste of the countries visited is ranked alongside climate, accommodation, and scenery in importance to tourists. She noted that against this backdrop, the Ministry of Tourism is doing all in its power to ensure that the visitor experience is of high quality and enjoyable. The government of St. Kitts and Nevis has been applauded for its continued investment in sports development, which provides many positive and enriching opportunities for young people. This was stressed on Tuesday, April 18th, as officials from the track and field fraternity assembled at the VIP lounge at the RLB International Airport to welcome home the 11 athletes who participated in the 2017 Flow Carifta Games held from April 15th to 17th in Curacao. Public Relations Officer of the St. Kitts and Nevis Amateur Athletic Association, SKN AAA, Everest Huggins, revealed that the government played an important role in facilitating the national team's participation in this year's competition with a donation of $20,000. The welcome home ceremony for the Carifta Games delegation was attended by the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Sports, the Honorable Sean Richards, who was supported by Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Sports, Stanley Knight, and Director of Sports, Anthony Wilshire. The Deputy Prime Minister also congratulated the athletes and coaches for their efforts and said that they represented the nation very well as ambassadors.
We continue to provide funding for our athletes because we believe it is an important part of your development. It is an important part of the development of St. Kitts and Nevis. The experience that you have had would be one that has made you better at your individual sporting events. I'm also certain that you would have made new friends, and that coming out of the experience in Curacao, you are better prepared to represent the Federation and to represent yourselves in all future endeavors.
Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, along with a delegation, traveled to New York to attend the funeral of Helen Marcella Byron Baker, the sister of Attorney General the Honorable Vincent Byron, President of the Caribbean Court of Justice CCJ, Sir Dennis Byron, and a partner in the law firm Byron & Byron, Terence Byron. Mrs. Byron Baker, a St. Kitts and Nevis national, passed away in New York where she resided. Mrs. Byron Baker was a former senior property manager at Durst Fetner Properties, LLC, one of the largest property developers in New York, and a founding member of KABA, Kittitian American Benevolent Association. Mrs. Byron Baker was laid to rest at the Pine Lawn Cemetery in Farmingdale, New York on Tuesday, April 18th. Thanks for viewing SKNIS Week in Review. I am Sharima Matthew. See you next week as we continue to update you, the general public, on what's happening in and around the Federation.